Hello everyone, and welcome back to Stunt Fight TV Live. This is episode 4. We'll be talking about the evolution of editing. Well, not entirely the whole evolution, but what we'll do, we'll dabble into what editing can do for your film and how a different edit can have a different outcome. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Philippe Deseck and I am a stunt actor / assistant stunt coordinator and have been working in the film industry for over 25 years. My passion is action and shooting action, and in this series we'll be breaking down some action sequences just to give you a better idea of what it takes to put a whole action sequence together. So what we'll do now, I'm going to show you the same fight that we did in episode 1, but I've got 2 different versions. The first one was edited by someone else and the second version was edited by myself. So what we're going to attempt to do is I'll play the 2 versions back to back, and then we can look at the differences and see how an edit can just change the whole outlook of the sequence, and then we'll go back and break it down some furthermore. So without further ado, let's just play the first version and then we'll play the second version. So enjoy. Just a reminder, this is the first version that was edited by someone else. Excellent. So this was the first version, and again, I'll just for those of you who just joined us, we are showing the 2 versions of the same fight scene, just to give you an idea of how a different edit can just change the whole feel, the whole rhythm, the timing of an action sequence, or any sequence for that matter. So what we'll do now, we'll play the second version. So the first version was edited by someone else, and the second version, which was edited by myself. So we'll just play that without further ado. Might just skip a little bit forward. There you go. So this is my version. you go. Cool. So as you can see, the two versions are really, really different, you know. So if you just go back to the first one, you'll see that the rhythm and the timing of the first one is completely different. So let's go through here. For instance, in this little section here, you can see Stephanie on the right. She actually brings her stick all the way back and then brings it forward. See? So in this edit, the person decided to show a lot more of the entire moves, which sometimes can be good, but sometimes it kind of slows down the action a bit. See? So that just kind of slows down the action a little bit. Now, if you are going to do a shot where you want to see the entire action, then you would come in with a close-up, just to emphasize that the power is coming from going all the way back and then forward. So that's one way of showing power, because there's so many different ways of showing power, and you know, sometimes it's quite challenging on how you can show power. So that there are certain filming and editing techniques that you can do just to emphasize power in a strike or a kick. So let's go down a bit more. So again, here again, you can see the entire kick. So you can see the kick from when it starts till the end. See again, so you can see the whole thing. So again, it kind of slows down the rhythm of the fight just a little bit. For instance, let's just go to mine. Let's look at that same kick. There you go. As you can see, that kick is a lot faster. The rhythm and timing of that kick is a lot faster. So with the editing, the kick starts from when the leg has already taken off. Let's go back a bit more. There we go. See, so that the leg, this is kind of the first frame, so the leg has already taken off and goes straight into the kick. Whereas in this one here, let's go back a bit more. You can see the leg this is the first frame. If we go back a bit more, there you go. So you can see that the whole leg, you can see more of the kick. So it kind of slows down the fight and slows down the rhythm of the whole thing. So that's just one example of how an edit can change the timing and the pacing of a fight scene. Let's just keep going with this one a little bit more. So let's go to the shot with the blood. There you go. So let's take it back just a little bit more. So as you can see, Stephanie goes to kick with her right leg, but in the edit, it looks like it's a left leg that's actually kicking. So if you go back a little bit more, you can see it again. So as you can see, when she kicks, she starts with her right leg, but the actual kick is with the left leg. And that's why we were missing that shot. If you go back to the episode 1, we were missing a shot where Stephanie spins around, where she kicks with her right leg. See, she takes off with her right, but it's an actual left that comes around. So, look, some people will notice it, other people won't, you know. So it just all depends on how observant you are when you're watching an action sequence. This angle I really like, this edit, because we can see the blood right in the center of the screen, you know, and that's when you're shooting action and you're filming it, you have to try and focus on the center, because naturally our eyes always look at the center of the screen. So the impact and the action has to mainly be concentrated in the center of the screen, and this is a really good example where you just see the blood right in the center of the screen, showing it. So that's really nice. So keep going a little more forward. And here again, same here. So again, this is really short. Like at the start, the kicks and the striking was a little bit too long. In my opinion, this is a little bit too short. So we don't actually see much of the start of the punch. We actually don't see anything at all. We just see this to this. Okay, I mean, which is not bad, but I prefer that we see more of the actual punching. So as you can see in my version, you can see the punch coming, fist coming to screen, and then punch. So, you know, there are subtle differences between version 1 and version 2, you know, and who's to say that one version is better than the other? You know, it's all down to preference, really, because, you know, the first rule of filmmaking is that there are no rules, which is great, you know, but there are guidelines. So, yes, subtle differences, and it's interesting how different minds look at something completely different, because we all had the same footage and we all came up with something with a different result. Now I did shoot the sequences in a certain way because I already had the editing in mind before we started shooting, you know, and that's just my way of working, and some people work differently, but before we shoot I already had the edit in my head. So I know exactly what shots are needed and what shots will match the next one. So these are just slight differences in editing with the same footage. Now, I just want to show that back in the day, especially when with Van Damme, they would shoot one punch from 3 different angles to make it look like it was 3 separate punches. Now it's not done that anymore, but back in the day it was a really cool technique, and it kind of just emphasizes the punch a lot more. So the way I shoot and the way some of the Hong Kong guys shoot is they will show one punch from different angles, but it will be the one punch. It won't be edited like it was 3 different punches. I'll just give you a quick idea of what I mean. So we'll go to one of Van Damme's films called AWOL, Absence Without Leave, or Leon, and you'll see the same punch or the same kick happening from different angles, and it looks like it's been done, that he kicked or punched 3 times. I can remember it once. There we go. There's a really good example coming up now.
What's wrong?
And here it comes. One, two, three. So let's go back a little bit. As you can see, one, two, three. So it's the same punch, different angles, but it looked like he punched him 3 times and correctly did it once. There's a couple more examples here. So just one hit, but just different angles, but it looks like it's done a few hits. There we go. There's a lot of repeat in the edit. And at the time it looked really great, and I remember seeing it for the first time going, oh my god, that is just so amazing, it's so cool. But now, you know, it's not done that much anymore, or actually probably not more at all. But it's still a technique that I quite enjoy watching. we go, one kick, another kick. There's a lot of repeats. I'll just skip forward and we'll just show you a quick example of a SPL with Donnie Yen and Sammo Hung. And we'll just see, obviously it's a different generation, different, this is a Hong Kong production, different philosophy, different way of thinking, different way of thinking of how action is put on film. But this is a great sequence, and you'll see that in this sequence we can actually see a lot of the strikes, and there are no real master shots, but just what we call montage cutting. So it's all little sequences. They use a lot of power as well. This exercise power. So that's another technique on how to emphasize power. To emphasize power. See what happens right in the face. So it's very visual. So you get to see the kicks. And then we go straight into a reaction. So you know, and again, when you're shooting action, as a filmmaker, don't just think of shooting the action, but also think of shooting the reaction. So you know, and that can all be done separately. So shooting the reaction separately kind of emphasizes on the action. So as we go back here, we'll see it again. As he comes in. So this is an action, cut to a reaction. So it's really interesting how the reaction emphasizes it, because it's done separately, and that's something that Hollywood doesn't always do. They like to shoot stuff in one shot, and it kind of, I think, loses a little bit of the impact of the action. So shooting the reaction separately sometimes is really beneficial. See, and sequence is not always that important, because as you can see, when he comes down, as he hits the deck, comes down, as he lands on his feet. In the next shot, he's already on top of him. So sequence is not always important, and when you do montage cutting, you can actually play with the sequence really nice, and you have that creativity to kind of design the fight the way you want to do, and you can work on the timing of the fight really nicely. You can make it fast, you can make it slow. There's so many options when you're shooting in sequences. But when you shoot in a master shot, then you're kind of very limited to what you can do with the fight afterwards. Here's a nice little sequence. Action, reaction again. And here we can see one kick, 3 different angles, but it is just one kick. So in the Van Damme example, you had one punch shot with 3 different angles, and it made it look like 3 separate punches. This is one kick, 3 different angles, but they cut it in such a way that it looks like it's one kick. So that's the difference between one and the other. As you can see, we have shot 1, shot 2, shot 3. So all that shot, it looks like it's one kick, but 3 different angles. So, and you know, and when you start to work with shooting action, always think of what are the 3 different angles I can shoot from to make it look like it's one. So, and that's kind of how my brain kind of thinks all the time. So I always think in threes. So let's play it in one shot again. You see, 1, 2, 3. See, and then we shoot the action, sorry, the reaction separately, emphasizing the action. And something else that you have to be mindful of is the lines that you create, as you can see there are beautiful lines in the kicks. They have beautiful lines in their punching. So always kind of angle the camera so you can see those lines nice and beautifully. You know, sometimes filmmakers don't actually think too much of the lines of the punching or the kicking, and it kind of looks really short and looks kind of a little bit distorted. So always kind of try and focus on creating nice lines. So as a performer as well, you have to create those lines, and that's why your movements have to be sometimes larger than life, so you can actually see those lines, and when you film it right, then you can actually create something that's really, really nice. So as you can see in this shot here, the foot is nowhere near the head. But in the next one, they cut to a close-up of, which is probably a hand in a shoe, under the chin. Goes like that one again. 1, 2, 3. And using the water powder, emphasizing the action as well. And then cut to a face. Yeah, that's something else that's really important. So you've seen the action, you've seen the reaction, and now we cut to a face, showing what that action has done to that person, shows the pain, you know, and that kind of emphasizes the action as well. So that's another way of showing power, which is really important. And there are so many different ways that you can show power. That's one of them. And in my later edits, I'll show you some other techniques on how to emphasize power, which is really important, especially if you have a female fighting a man, or a small person fighting a big person. How can you show that that small person has power over the big person, or how can you show that a woman has power over a man who's a lot bigger than her? So there are certain techniques to emphasize that and to make it look believable. And cut the face. So really important. So anyway, thank you very much, guys. Like I mentioned as well, I'm running an online course as well, teaching actors on how to stunt fight like a pro on set. Please, if you're interested, visit my website, which is actionmoviemakerstraining.com. Also visit my my YouTube channel, which is also Action Movie Makers Training, where I have a lot of more videos on there that you can see a lot of fights, where I break down a few of the fights as well, and a repeat of these videos are also put on YouTube. And I'm really excited because one of my YouTube videos is really, really close to having 100,000 hits. So I'm really excited about that, and hopefully by tomorrow it will have reached 100,000 hits. So really excited about that. So again, thank you very much, everyone, and I will see you on the next episode, which I'll talk a little bit more about editing, and we will look at another breakdown where I have 2 sequences. One was edited by someone else and one was edited by myself, and then we'll break that down as well, just to give you an idea of how different edits can actually make a difference in your outcome. So thank you very much, everyone, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.